I'm on some quest. I'm on a quest for money. I'm on some quest. I'm on a quest for. I'm on some quest. I'm on a quest for. I'm on some quest. I'm on a quest for. I'm on some quest. I'm on a quest for.
They asking too much questions.
Let's talk more listening. Huh?
They asking too much questions. Let's talk more listening. It's just a suggestion. Catch me doing push-ups. I'm bigging up my chest, sir. Got us wearing push-ups, trying to make impressions. I'm doing pull-ups like selectors in a session. My mind's getting full up, trying to learn all my lessons. Caught at a crossroads, you can call it intersections. I ain't never getting old, so I don't ever need no pension. Rock solid as gold. And let me mention, I was 3 years grown. I excelled in comprehension. I was attentive. I paid attention. I broke the mold. Now I'm waiting for ascension. A guilty crown pro affiliated with a henchman. A Canaanland mold.
Yes, sir. I'm on my quest in different textures. Wearing goose down, Bill jackets, keeping this weather off of my melanated skin. I'm in this bottle of gin. Got me doing wobbles again. And I'm swerving within. Caked from the surface of sins. Our birth is a bin. Led to the bridges of binging. I quinge in the cathedral. Speaker speaking evil, I sight it like an eagle. I fly, shit on the pasture. People stay hocus pocus, I remain focused. Notice I put you, I notice. Nationality, naturally, I'm here to make you notice. You notice? Yeah.
I'm on some quest. I'm on a quest for. I'm on some quest. I'm on a quest for. I'm on some quest. I'm on a quest for. I'm on some quest. I'm on a quest for.
They asking too much questions.
Let's talk more listening. Huh?
Ladies and gentlemen, check this thing.
If you can't tell who it is that we be, it's the ALMOROC, stepping up in the place ambassadorially. 2 on the right, in the middle is me. Got 5 on the left, to the ground is 3. Those who have the eyes can clearly see that what? It's the Moors for sure, and you can't touch the shores unless you down. Do a treaty with us, and we entreat that you trust and respect our boundaries and our legacies. Can't get the best of me with the strongest mental telepathy. Phone book, fiat, fantasy, or recipes. Wisdom and supreme mathematics is protecting me. 5 on the left, 2 on the right. That's on my chest, about to take flight. Signal of the stress, something don't seem right. I'm trying to find a phone booth, but none in sight. Trying to get the whole truth, but it's a fight. True Ali told you, but still despite, renew the old you. You'll be alright, you'll be alright, you'll be alright.
I get knowledge I got. My mind spray a lot for my alma rock. Lyrics cryptic, I'm a rockin' mystic. Use rhymes at times, enlighten a dimwit. When I'm rockin' flow, you trying to swim with. Hang rappers by laces, they tie their Timbs with. This ain't that fruity rap, we catch them in booby traps, coughing up a lung, cause my fam got hung.
5 on the left, 2 on the right. That's on my chest, about to take flight. Signal of the stress, something don't seem right. I'm trying to find a phone booth, but none in sight. Trying to get the whole truth, but it's a fight. True Ali told you, but still despite, renew the old you. You'll be alright, you'll be alright, you'll be alright.
We are the ancients, returned on mics and beats, on ancestral realms and streets. Words sound power, shower, watering minds with jade lines and amethyst rhymes. Tiger eyes glow, scimitar showing crystal reflections for added protections. 5 on the left, 2 on the right, lyrical bread and fish fed through the mic.
I tip your scales with vibrational levels. With this man, sever your tempo. Moving, living backwards, stabbing at pebbles. People trying to survive, call us criminals. Why did my first die, surrounded by devils? Wanna try and infiltrate inside my mentals. But the industry of propaganda and the scandals. Be the wicked rascal, camouflage charcoal. Heavy rotisserie, heavy arsenal.
5 on the left, 2 on the right. That's on my chest, about to take flight. Signal of the stress, something don't seem right. I'm trying to
find a phone booth, but none in sight. Trying to get the whole truth, but it's a fight. True Ali told you, but still despite, renew the old you. You'll be alright. You'll be alright. You'll be alright.
Check it. Knew from the first day that I met her. Thirsty in the worst way, wanted to get her. Open like a ladder, I'm open, not the stress and no pressure, but I wanna lay her out like a stretcher. Knew she couldn't handle 16, so I hit her with 8 first to give her a taste first. Cat and mouse game, yeah, she gave up the chase first. So I booked the room and I laid her down face first. She liked the kinky, so I spit on her. Wanted to keep it to myself, she wanted other dudes to get on her. I tried my best to put her head on her, but she fell in love with crack rap. All they do is shit on her. Thought I knew her well, so but wait a second. Knew her well before she ever even made a record. She's a dime now, so I gotta pay to check it. But I'm still thinking mommy like to trade a records.
5 on the left, 2 on the right. That's on my chest, about to take flight. Signal of the stress, something don't seem right. I'm trying to find a phone booth, but none in sight. I'm trying to get the whole truth, but it's a fight. True Ali told you, but still despite, renew the old you. You'll be alright. You'll be alright. You'll be alright. So I was gonna get you in. What? What? I'm rocking. Who says we ain't in the building? Who says we ain't into building? We the Moorish master masons, architects for your children, rapping Friday 30s like Jason without the killing. But we promote life, oh, it's all about the feeling. And we invoke life, yo, we them light beings. Though you might see him on the block getting this posture, might be talking to cops, giving them caution. Occasionally wearing his vest when he's walking, see the turning heads. Whispering gawking, but he's locked in and he's zoned out while we boxed in our own house.
Study the mystics, the adepts, the magi. Wisdom of the ancients can all calcify ours. Possible mission, free mental numbness. Extract the substance with minds of darkness. Use the source, don't care what's on purport.
So I was gonna get you in. What? What? I'm rocking. Who says we ain't in the building? Who says we ain't into building? We the Moorish master masons, architects for your children, rapping Friday 30s like Jason without the killing. But we promote life, oh, it's all about the feeling. And we invoke life, yo, we them light beings. Though you might see him on the block getting this posture, might be talking to cops, giving them caution. Occasionally wearing his vest when he's walking, see the turning heads. Whispering gawking, but he's locked in and he's zoned out while we boxed in our own house.
Study the mystics, the adepts, the magi. Wisdom of the ancients can all calcify ours. Possible mission, free mental numbness. Extract the substance with minds of darkness. Use the source, don't care what's on purport. As we know by being told, man knows not. Many before the floor, souls got caught. Placed in the devil's hands, rule in the 7 lands. To dogma rituals, Negro spirituals. Brainwash subliminal, keeps thinking to a minimal. They still criminal, in a world digital so pitiful. Mental survival so critical, it's visible. Can you see past like the blocks? Hashtag zombies with waves of cyber thoughts. No need for some. It's nothing for alarm, chips and forearm.
With brass and bass, such a beautiful serenade. Women feeding me grapes, I'm feeding to give me serenades. Whether the sky is clear or gray, rain when you hear it fake, giving life to see. Drinking food I hear today. Show you the future in a glimpse. And I was looked to these homes like hallucinary gifts. Sun walked the desert, been more of a since I found God. Look back, used to see his prince. Forget being a prince, I'm a G. OD grown man, no joke, you deny it, you don't know me. Don't make me tap into the old me. That's like a couple hundred years. Walk around town with a couple hundred peers and release the peace of up fears. The sun gon' shine for what tears? This young brother here just trying to get his third eye clear.
This deep, Moors don't sleep. Invest in your mind and body and unleash. Real life rap, spitting over tracks. Conscious thinking and living and then attack. This deep, Moors don't sleep. Invest in your mind and body and unleash. Real life rap, spitting over
track. Conscious thinking, living a dead attack.
So as the moon sets, the sun takes its place. It spoons on blocks, inspired spots, fill spaces. Peel back, rats, who got cases. Fire stain the corridors of flemo faces. Game changers, rule benders, and no pretenders. Style benders, channel my vibe through the vibrant optic lenses. Send a message to our veterans. Soldiers up and get it in. We on our birds, we on merge, subliminal beings. Third eye seeing, still I participate unwilling.
They wanna break me, shake, break, me. Rolling with my name G, double O-M-G. S-O-N is crazy. For a minute that you think you can take me for a fool, like a native to his land, being schooled by a foreign dude. Keep mistaking me, spiders on the roof, in the dark rooms. I've been saying you mistaking me. To better move for our market. Poetry is my tongue, to resistance to target. Revealing all lies and deceit on the market. Genocide carried out in pockets, I knock it down, bulldozer. Baby took a lion, it's an exposure. Out some big heads ruling and it's getting closer to your downfall. Round up on your soldiers.
Little homie, I was seeking a fortune, tired of misfortune. I just wanted a portion, everything that I never had, though I needed my portion. Blowing like porcelain, haters cracking this porcelain. Getting broke, tired of being broke. How we acquire hope is to keep still as a dope, just to keep us afloat. Might as deep as the boat, brain is the lethal weapon we want need to elope. When I speak, I'm a broke. Walk in the room with my aura feeling like heavy smoke. Feel like when they let me broke. Under my Louis Vuitton, they send me poke. Cause dirty cops and take the boy, yeah, they joke. The cost of living, higher profits and private prison. These little girls are sunny body just to pay tuition. These little niggas sunny niggas just to build condition. It's like the state they never end the prison in the mission. I wanna free the world, but I'm one man. A couple ones like me and me one plan. I wanna free the world, but I'm one man. A couple ones like me and one plan.
That's odd. She acted as though she'd never seen a person's demon before.
You're never alone. You always have this companion for life who is every other facet of you.
Look, Pan, it says I mustn't let Mrs. Scooter get hold of it, or we'll all die.
Everybody has this animal, a demon, which represents their inner person, who they are.
People can talk with their demons.
Check. Now by 2009, for some reason rhyme had declined. Simple Simon lines every time. Blind leading to death and dumb behind. A wiggling tail of some carrots attached to a vine. Jackass donkey, sagas of simian, judge not less of those opinions. I am a god and I know that well. No matter how many ways they feed me ghosts in this shell, I can go straight to hell where my demon dwells. Summon it at will, maybe cast a spell. No, I don't use slogans and avoid much stupidness. Similes I was done with in grade 6. Look at this state of hip-hop now. Dr. Zeus would be ashamed, you fucking clowns and lanes. But everybody grows at their own pace, right? Of those opinions, put down the mic. This is grown man dialogue, not moon zooms, but doom baboon, rat, mad cat. Stop being super cool. Your limerick styles is for mini dicks while you're taking a very long time to graduate from a child. I have a 12-year-old and 17-year-old who create more complex word strings than 92% of all of you claiming to be the true MC. Please get up off your knees. Your slobbering style is not gonna appease the tormented deities that inhabit me. No relent, no remorse. Similar to when a piece of horse is crossed by some horse or supreme force. Accompanied by loss of your Ross, clots, and your blouse and skirt. With minimal work, all your so to get murked. And I leave the corpse rotting, stinking in the dirt, nasty in the mud. Where the pigs are chillin', thought I was a villain of your opinion. How many times you gon' bring me to your minions and try to tempt this god with foul chicken? For the last time, bring me to your master so I can fracture every last factor that had our brains splattered and had our minds shattered. All at the request of some bastard.
Who, me? Nah, I'm not the asshole, but you can call me quick, cause I off and I fast so out of place. I make a home in outer space, and I spit into your dish and spill milk and sour grapes. If that's what it takes to make your trivia evaporate, you fill it up, I smash the gate. I meditate, you masturbate. I masturbate, you have to wait for some white bearded crotchety freckle face to open up the pearly gate. But I smashed that. Remember a couple lines ago? Time to go. Oops, what's that? Can't find your hole? Sorry, bro. That's just how it goes. Right now she's busy polishing some totem poles.
Islam was. Islam was. Islam. Peace and love. Happy holy day to all the Moors worldwide. Islam to all that rose today and gave thanks. We have an opportunity. We have an opportunity, because regardless of what anybody says, trust me that the Moors are the ones that have supreme knowledge right now, this day and time. The Moors are the ones who are really on it. Because like we said again, yeah, we go at dirty Moors and all that, but at least they know that they're Moors. It might be dirty, but at least they know their nationality and birthrights. Not playing that black BS. So it's always about uplifting fallen humanity. Those who don't know, try to let them know ASAP. But because everything's swaying in the direction of where the Moors been telling people, yo, it's whatever. You know what I mean? Right? Prior to Umar Shabazz and Alim El Bey, Asir the Duke of Tears, prior to that time, say 2005, 6, anybody told me about Moors. If I did hear about Moors, it was about some historical whatever Moors. That have nothing to do with me, because I'm here and I'm just black. You think it's about revolution and topple the system and all that stuff, and then you get black power and all that. Then you can't really do that, so then you go to some religious whatever, because you don't want to harm other people and all that BS. You know they're shooting you in the face. Nobody told me about Moors until, like, people I can reach out to. People talk about Moors all they want, but people that I can reach out to, like I can say, okay, there's an individual there, let me reach out. They put the spark in. They had the little sticks and the wood, and they were trying something. Just because there's Moors in Canada, just like wherever you're at, and then one day you're just walking, and then you bump into a Moor that you've never seen before, and you've been around here, and then when you talk to this Moor, he's telling you just lives right around there. Never seen this Moor ever until that one time. So this has a certain frequency to this. And it's only for those who are on the frequency. If you're not on the frequency, you gotta get on, or, you know, don't get out of this. Don't try to get into a moving car. Stop the car first. But this is not stopping. This has been going. We're going on 100+ years of this resurrection, of this lost history that people only talk about from some historical perspective. But if they were in tune, they would see Moors. And then when they see a Moor, that should make them, hey, there's a Moor right there. We go talk to that Moor, because all I've ever did was hear about Moors. Like, nobody today is going to come up and tell you about there's a Egyptian and somebody's going to be surprised. And they want to take pictures with them because they're wearing Egyptian garb. They're not playing with that BS. They know that's dead culture. Like your master, teacher, elder, Dick Gregory said, the dusty ass pyramids in Egypt means it's fallen culture. So what are you repping? And he even came out and told you that the presidents were Moors and all that. Right now, for all the Moors who've been on it, you get the wiserhood. All the Moors that have been on, being know that they're Moors. You get the wiserhood. You get to get your robe and stuff like that, your satin, silk stuff and all of that. You get your cigar and your chair that you could lean back, recliner. Because you've been repping for this. Moors who, oh, it's so crazy. Because, okay. So we're talking about the reason why you get the wiserhood is because you paid your dues to the Moorish nation. Forget some temple and some whatever. As an individual, you know that, hey, when it comes to Moors, like, I repped this. Like I was a Moor for real from back in ancient times. When you know that you repped it like that you really rep this, like regardless of whatever name or whatever that they want to say, that's who you are on the job or whatever like that. They're mad every time they see you with your turban. They're mad every time they see you with your fez. Pissed. Then you have one or two, you know, that are down with it, and they'll, you know, give you the secret high fives and stuff like that, leave you stuff at your desk and all that, Moroccan chocolates and stuff like that, you know, because you're a Moor. And then you being whoever you are, according to what you were brought by this illustrious prophet by the name of Noble Drew Ali, who nobody ever talks about, because as soon as you talk about him, then all the other leaders that you've been following that have been sold you out, even the good ones, you realize we missed the bus. So let's start running in the direction the bus went. Been telling people, do you know that these so-called African nations that these people are saying, oh yeah, over on the continent, those guys are no, Gaddafi was the last one of those. Anybody else coming up and saying about they're gonna have some one whatever for the African whatever, don't believe them. Don't fall for it. Don't let them talk how Gaddafi talked, and then you think that they're down with the stuff that Gaddafi was gonna do or whatever. Don't get played. That was the last one. So so-called African guys, right, are gonna deport so-called African guys, African Union guys are gonna deport some Asian from Africa because he called Africans monkeys. They're gonna deport him, right? But they're not gonna deport the Asians that are going up in the mines and stuff like that and have the restaurant that's telling the Africans, F you can't eat here because it's dark outside and we can't see you coming. So you can't eat here. And they're going for that. They're not deporting them though, but they're gonna deport some one guy that was Asian that called Africans monkeys. That means people are playing you all over the world. All over the world getting played. Getting played. And yep, Gaddafi was always fezzes up. He didn't play these guys' stuff. Fezzes up. Any color, doesn't matter. What? The quote-unquote sovereign taking rightful position. Taking the rightful position. We're the ones right now taking the rightful position. Regardless of what it is you experience once you declare and proclaim your nationality that you're more. Regardless of what you experience, that birthright travel, that going through those motions to get to that place, is supposed to have you in frequency with other people who are just like that, which would prove to you that yes, we are a nation. All we have to do is be what our ancient foremothers and forefathers were, without doubt or contradiction. Well, should I? You just doubted. Why are you doubting? What? I thought without doubt, we're Moors, without doubt or contradiction. Well, if I was going to do the, are you doubting? Man can only be what he knows. Man can't be other than what he knows. Moors know that they're Moors, not just because of some paper or card or whatever. Like there's a deep connection to other Moors that are under the right frequency. That it's only a matter of time before the younger generations get it, because you already hear the Moors doing the prayer at class and all that stuff on Sundays. You're not doing no prayer. Like he wants us to wait for him to get there so he can do the prayer. Little more. Those are the levels that it's at. It's been done, but it's like, me and the more we're talking about it today. It's always our own. More even brought up, hey, if the Europeans are going into decline as a population, obviously they can't be the enemy because they were the minority before. So what are they now? If they were the minority before, and they're talking about their stuff is decreasing, then what are they now? What's under a minority? Or does minority just continue into nothingness? All the foreign BS, throw it out and deal with the reality. Moors are already on this. And we continue to stress the point that we already know 144,000. So we don't care 850 million views and stuff like that. There's 5 people out there who never heard about this that are like, hey, he said something interesting. I'm going to go check that out. Once they get into their birthright, even if they get to dirty Moors, at least they'll know that they're Moors. Forget all that BS. And then once they get on this side, then they deal with the dirty Moors. They thought they were dealing with something in the black stuff. You wait till you get over here. You think you're dealing with sellouts in the black, whatever, killed your black leaders or whatever. That's small level sellout compared to what we're dealing with on this side as Moors with regard to the sellout of something. Because what was sold out from us was our birthright. Not some organization or some point plan of some guy that came around and hey, we're gonna do this to help the whatever. Stuff was already laid down. We had our own manufacturing companies and all that as Moors. 1900s. Moors going to Moors businesses. But they don't want to talk about that. They want to talk about Black Wall Street and all this stuff. But not deal with the time of the Moors. When we had knowledge of self. Do you go back and look at the pictures of UNIA parade and stuff like that? And then when you look at that, in your mind, look at turbans and fezzes. Because that's the footage that they'll never, ever show you. But you got paper clippings, though. Just go Chicago Defender newspaper, and they covered all the stuff in the Chicago Defender. All the conventions, all the everything. Chicago Defender has everything on archives. But we fell from this because we got out of tune. We got out of tune. So going through the emails, and the more sent something. Right? The more sent something. And what he sent is very crazy. Now, we know we're Moors. We know that we're Moors. A Moor sent me something today, which is this. Hawaii Kingdom supporters tell council cease and desist. September 5th, 2018, right? Today is the 7th. So, you know, that's the 5th, that's the 7th, 2 days. Then the 5 and the 2 is the 7th, and then the 7 with the 7th of today, and right, they sent this to me today, right? Then I got this one. Gonna get this on right now. So I received this before class. Islam. And then the more who's at Hawaii sent me a message. Just within the past 15 minutes while the music was playing. Now, we didn't have any conversations with the more near Hawaii. More was just sending a message, yo, you know, we need to connect or whatever. And then I have the thing set up because we had to show the Hawaii today because this is exactly what Moore's been telling people. And how come it's always the Negroes that don't want to get it, that don't want to realize what's going on? They think this is some little Moorish whatever, and the fez wearing cult guys of the whatever. When the world's on this, especially on this side. So we're just gonna play this and then I will bring you in more.
Yes, sir.
Over and over, but maybe you need to educate yourselves of the true history, and also the hawaiiankingdom.org/blog, which will bring you up to date in what is happening now.
We are so lucky that the Queen and that the Hawaiian Kingdom continues to exist, because the Hawaiian Kingdom, to my knowledge, is the only country on earth that is not a corporation. And indeed, the United States became officially a corporation in 1871 with the creation of the District of Columbia. And if you Google definition of the United States under the United States Code, Article 28, Section 3002, line 15, definition of the United States, they tell you the United States equals a federal corporation. And what is a corporation? Who are the people you're actually working for? The definition of a corporation is a legal entity. So we have a legal, illegal entity occupying Hawaii. And I think the question here is, because you're in a community of people that are filled with the aloha spirit, that you come forward. There was a great mistake that we were all born into. Our moms didn't know when they were applying for birth certificate that they were signing over their beloved baby until the federal corporation. And so until we declare upon ourselves and unto the world our true status, who we are, where we are, and what law we live by, we will be presumed to be property of that corporation.
Okay, now, I don't give a F what any of you black guys, conscious, whoever guys say. If I'm so-called revolutionary or whatever, I'm down with what he's saying before anything that any of these black leader, whoever's out here, conscious or whatever, how much ever views they got, doesn't even matter. If they're not talking how he's talking, forget them. Because this is what's going on in the world right now. Everyone is standing up for their right. Everyone is recognizing, except these so-called Negroes, who are their own problem. They're not somebody else. They themselves say crabs in the bucket and all that stuff. And then they keep perpetuating it. You know, putting a ritual on yourself. Because again, we know that y'all are Moors. Y'all want to be black. So then that's on you. You want to be conscious, whatever? That's on you. Do your thing. Everybody here has their own path. Not here to judge you for taking whatever path it is that you choose to take. But the lane that we're going in is the same lane like what the Punjabis are going in. that they don't go to your black conscious store. They don't check you guys. Because they already know, like the master teacher taught, glass between them and the black guys and a little hole so they could push the fiat through. And that's the only interaction international people are going to have with so-called black whoever's. And again, Moors know. They got Moors that be what they know. And being themselves to them does not mean a piece of paper. It means them, the being. So their turban or their fez is enough for them. Some people say, forget turban fez. I'm using words. You still can't touch this. But the point being made is that people are standing up all across the world. Realizing that something's wrong when democracy rules. And something has to be set up where it's the people that have the say. And then they realize that, hey, something's been set up already. Why don't we just do what they used to do with the... And it's the same place where we're at. But this is real time. Just look it up. Hawaiian Kingdom supporters tell council cease and desist. Everything that they're talking about is the same way how Moors been talking to people. Moors have been talking like this to people. Now you have a Hawaiian that you're going to say, well, he doesn't look like me or whatever like that. He's Asiatic. You put a little BS straight hair and all that BS or whatever. But this European knows one drop rule. And he definitely has more than one drop. There's a lot more.
Islam, yes. Peace and love to all the nobles out there. And thank you for allowing me to share some mana'o, which is how we say when we build in Hawaii. We share mana'o with one another. Me personally, right off the bat, I am not a Kanaka Maoli. Kanaka Maoli is the proper name for the indigenous inhabitants of the 808 state of Hawaii. I am of Portuguese ancestry. And so to start from there and connect it to Moorish science, for me, the connection started reading 77 Facts. Kuja El, you put out that book, yes, correct?
Yeah, that was me and Brother Rami Salam El.
And so in 77 Facts, you have a picture of King Kalakaua wearing his fez. I forget exactly what fact number it is. King Kalakaua was the last ruler in the state of Hawaii, in the Hawaiian Kingdom, before it was overthrown. The way the Kingdom of Hawaii was overthrown was by a group of European businessmen who wanted to avoid sugarcane taxes to compete with the southern sugarcane growers. So in order not to pay the tariffs, they overthrew the government and made Hawaii a state. They did that by pointing a gun at the Queen, Liliuokalani, in her palace, and parking a marine ship with cannons pointed at the palace. And Queen Liliuokalani, our last sovereign ruler, signed the contract, and that, in long and short, is how the overthrow took place. If you look at the word Kanaka Maoli, etymology, Maoli is very close to Moor. The Kanakas consider their cousins the Maori, down in the Tahiti area. If you look at the etymology of the word Maori, it's M-A-O-R. So you can already see in the names, there's already the connections in the names.
Well, hold on. Pardon the interjection, Mark.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to pause for a second. Somebody just said in the chat. Now, watch again, right? This is how we're letting you know real time how the Moors are in tune, right? Somebody in the chat just said in the chat something about Bob Marley get up, stand up, right? Now, what we're going to talk about is what a Moor sent me today. A Moor sent me this today. Said, couldn't help but notice this clip of the stirred up video with Buddy Whaler killing it with the fez on. So, just to let the Moors know that it's real.
Yeah.
If you're on the science, give thanks to yourself for being on the science, knowing about your nationality, knowing about your birthrights, and staying true to the cause of uplifting our people. But go ahead, Moore. I just want to throw that in there.
Yeah, get up, stand up. Hey, Bob Marley, we all grew up with Bob Marley and Hawaii heavy since we were little kids. That's like anthems. That's like we know all the words and all the concepts. And actually, Bob Marley and reggae music as a whole and the consciousness has played a big part in uplifting the consciousness of the local inhabitants of these islands, to help us to bring more awareness to getting up and standing up and all that goes with that. So to go back to King Kalakaua, who is in 77 Facts. King Kalakaua was a recognized international dignitary. He had treaties of peace signed with, I think, 300 nations recognizing the independence and sovereignty of the Hawaiian Kingdom. He had a vision to build his future kingdom to a modern society. He was not a backwards, indigenous, melanated person who needed Big Brother to come and civilize him. The literacy level in Hawaii at the time of King Kalakaua was the highest in the world. Not only did his kingdom have the highest literacy rate, he was already internationally minded and was going around the world, traveling, making connections with other world leaders to go ahead and push his kingdom of Hawaii forward in the international community. So the idea that he was helped and rescued and introduced to modernity by a Big Brother is absolute fairy tale Disneyland. His kingdom was actually progressive, and was taken backwards, and the destiny was shifted from what his course was set to be, using the literacy rate in Hawaii as one data point of how progressive he was. So tying King Kalakaua to my lineage and how we got here in Moors, as we know, the history of the Iberian Peninsula, which is where Portugal is in Spain. Iberia is the same word as Ibri. And so King Kalakaua was looking for people to join his kingdom he was building. He met the King of Portugal, signed a peace treaty with him. There was a group of people on the islands of the Azores. Azores are a small archipelago of islands in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Hawaii is a tiny archipelago in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. So the specific inhabitants that came to Hawaii by way of King Kalakaua and his treaty with the King of Portugal is from the Azores. He wanted to bring this group of workers who are my ancestors here to Hawaii, and also, by the way, likely descended Moorish remnants of the Iberian Moorish Peninsula. And from that period and the whitewash of the Catholic Church after the Reconquista, many of the one droppers, the five droppers, were kind of sent to the Azores and sent to the outer areas. So anywhere, that's the stock that King Kalakaua brought to Hawaii. He was interested in the stock of people because the skill set this stock had. One was irrigation. Irrigation directly introduced into Iberia through the Moorish period. They had knowledge of building with volcanic rock, basalt rock. They had knowledge of basalt masonry, how to take volcanic rock and build structures, bridges, roadways. So, and they're also agrarian farm people. So between the basalt masonry, the irrigation, and the knowledge of how to raise and farm, this was a skill set that he was interested in having in building his kingdom. And so King Kalakaua, the same man in 77 Facts, is directly linked to bringing my ancestors from this Atlantic archipelago before Panama Canal. They had to travel all the way around Cape Horn and all the way back up. And if you look at any immigration route on the whole planet, that might be one of the longest routes of immigration ever completed by a group of people. Many died on the boats. Many lived, and now Portuguese and Hawaii are integrated and intermixed and amalgamated heavily in the local population, and have made cultural contributions and are generally considered to be part of the amalgamated Hawaiian local population here in Hawaii.
Now, when you were talking about no, I mean somebody said in the chat that
Yes, sir.
that basalt rock is also called Moabite stone. Now,
Wow.
is there any connections in the language to Moors or more or
Samoan? I'm sorry, JS.
Yeah, more.
So basalt rock is also known as Moabite rock,
Moabite stone.
as in Moab, yeah.
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 Oh wow, that's the first I've heard about the interchanging of basalt and Moabite. That's very interesting. Speaking of volcanoes, if anybody was paying attention, we had one of the most massive, prolonged volcanic episodes recently.
Yeah.
Over on a big island here. And so, hey, don't build your house on a volcano because you never know when it's going to erupt. So yeah, all of the people that ended up building their house on, they knew it was an active volcano. It's unfortunate for them. However, Mother Nature has its own plans, and we kind of supersede our human plans over Mother Nature's plan.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
So yes, that's a little bit about who I am and how I came to Hawaii and how that relates to Moorish.
No. Oh yeah, let me ask you this too, because
Yes, sir.
there's other people of European descent who take the position like what you're taking of speaking the truth to the positions that the two sides play. So, like, what do you think it is that has you on the truth?
Taking the position I'm taking?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm glad you asked that question. First of all, is that the sociological, cultural map of Hawaii is probably flip-flop from that of the United States. Meaning that growing up in school, it was not cool to be Caucasian and actually it was cooler to be non-Caucasian, whereas in the greater state, there's an upper hand. So culturally, there's that. Secondly, is when I came into just by naturally, I'm a rebel, and individually minded, and I'm a free thinker. So when I became an age of awareness and started to look into the confusion and why the world doesn't make sense, and start to discover that the Hawaiian kingdom was overthrown and it's illegal. And instead of getting angry at people for getting angry because people were mean to me because I was Caucasian, I understood that the angst directed towards me and my skin color was based off historical crimes. And so I actually sided with the Hawaiians. And my family is Hawaiian. I have Hawaiians in my family and my uncles. So because of my own family intermixing and because of my curiosity to find out the truth, I knew that the Caucasians was in the wrong and was colonizers. And so I understood the cause. Also, we come up in a time of hip-hop. I'm the same generation as you. So by understanding and researching the history of Hawaii and also through hip-hop, and then also later on in life getting introduced to more science by other names, there's no doubt what the truth is to me.
That's real.
If that kind of answers the question or makes sense to everybody else been listening.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah. So yeah, hey, you fucking Haole. Haole is a derogatory word that we use out here for white people. The Portuguese aren't necessarily considered. They're like we one droppers, kind of like zebras. So we're not Kanakas, but at the same time we're not considered Haoles either.
Right,
because we have a different cultural capital than your typical European. There's an interesting sociological study done out of the University of Hawaii in 1981. It looked at why the Portuguese in Hawaii aren't considered Haoles. And the result of that study is because the Portuguese that came to Hawaii were from a quote-unquote peripheral nation in the European power structure. They weren't from a quote-unquote core nation in the European power structure. Peripheral meaning that the resources and goods of that nation is feeding into the core nation. And so my ancestors are not owners, and from the core nations, my ancestors are worker bees from a peripheral nation and came into the Hawaiian society in that role.
So okay, so in the society of your ancient foremothers and forefathers, they were a specific trade.
Yeah, they're more agrarian farmers.
Okay.
They're not, than craftsmen.
Right. So the king.
If you look at how this science was introduced into Iberia, irrigation, farming, all this stuff was introduced into Iberia through the Moorish period. Also the navigation, the maps were introduced into Iberia through the Moorish knowledge that was left over. So in my own reckoning and putting all this together, the reason that my ancestors came to Hawaii had this knowledge, they got it from the Moors between 1711 and 1892. I mean, 1492 there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that's so that also ties into the same periphery concept.
Yeah.
That you at least are of the stock of Europeans that were directly related to the Moors if you had the information like that.
Yes, sir.
You know
Where
what
else
I
would
mean?
you get the information? Yeah. You went to the library to get it. There's only one library. Yeah.
Right. Now in that time, even from what you research with your history, like how were the Moors looked at, and is it the same, or is it more dominant here when we look at, how they looked at the king or whatever?
You talking about the king of Hawaii, or?
Yeah, the king of Hawaii. So in relation, the relationship of, because we seen him with feathers up over here, so we already know what's up. So,
right.
The relationship to the perspective of the royalty or the Moors or the rulers. What was the Portuguese perspective of it from over there, and then related to what it is now over here that you're now part of it, like you're saying. Like you're not.
Yeah, I would say that in my family and everything I was taught from my family, I never knew anything about Moors or anything. We were raised as Roman Catholic, very traditional, good worker bees. You go to work, you pay your taxes, you don't fuck the system. And you stay in your lane. And Moorish awareness came to me through two ways, and then that connected back to actual Iberian Peninsula and my forebears. Moorish science came to me through a man named Uncle Louis that I met when I was 20 years old, working in the kitchen, chasing hip-hop dreams and wanting to be an MC. Uncle Louis introduced us to many, many things. Uncle Louis was a Kanaka Maoli, and he was also a Native American ancestry. Uncle Louis was a riddle because he was 70 years old, but he was working in a kitchen with all us young guys. And it's like, what's this Papa, what's this Grandpa doing in the kitchen with us? And I will mention, it was a Hooters kitchen. It was a Hooters Honolulu. We were 19 years old. We wanted to be around the girls and everything like that.
Hooters
kitchen. So here's this old man.
That's an innovative one right there. That's an innovative one.
So we were chasing microphones. We were doing our hip hop at night, and during the day we were working in the Hooters kitchen. And then we met this guy, Uncle Louis. And Uncle Louis introduced us to I don't know if anyone's familiar with the work of G.I. Gurdjieff, and In Search of the Miraculous, P.D.L. Spensky. Basically, what it is Moorish science, but I didn't know it was Moorish science at that time. And so he introduced us to this real esoteric stuff, and it was like a riddle. Like, what's Uncle Louis talking about? But I got into it, and I picked it up, and I started reading what he said. And he even would talk about Morocco and America being Morocco, and that there was a future, there was a new civilization coming. He talked about this stuff, but this is 20 years ago, and my awareness at the time didn't even have any reference point for what was actually telling and showing us at this time. Only later, in retrospect, through the years, did I finally start to understand what certain
things that he was saying, and now you're tying it to the historical reference points that you're finding.
So
that's crazy.
All of my connections and coming to a Moorish awareness doesn't come from my family; it comes from my own personal journey. After I got out of my house at 19.
For real.
And then the other big part about it is hip hop. Hip hop was one of our main teachers growing up. We found out who Noble Drew Ali was. We read about Malcolm X. We found out what the NLI was. We found out what the pre-mathematics was. We found out what kinetic science is. I mean, all of this awareness coming through hip hop. And going back to Uncle Louis, Gurdjieff actually got me into Sufism, which then led me into Idris Shah, which done classes on Idris Shah books. So that is how me personally has come into being Moorish awareness.
Yeah, that's real. Now, since you talked about it too, how you see the the hip hop state right now?
I think that a bunch of groundbreaking moments have happened recently. De La Soul broke the Billboard chart over the age of 50 not too long ago. In the same year, we had a Tribe Called Quest come out with a groundbreaking album.
Yeah.
I mean, and even from Nas's, we just had the adults in hip hop in the last 2 or 3 years. Hip hop is fully matured now and is coming to adulthood right now on one level, on more our generation. Further, hip hop is maturing because when I first began to discover Canaanland, Moorish, G.S. Cujo, Taj Tariq Bey, and then began to study Jonathan Bey, and connect. A lot of that happened because I was tuning into the quote-unquote conscious communities. And what I liked about the conscious communities on the web is that I saw the hip-hop generation battling on the street, but now they're battling with academics and mind power. We're not battling with ratchetness anymore, you know? And so seeing the hip-hop generation evolve into this academic scholarship place for me was very invigorating. And then at the same time, like I said, we're having these OG groups coming out with material at the ripe old age of 45, 50, and still sounding dope as hell and still cracking the Billboard.
Right.
And so the conscious communities, the work that you folks are doing is now feeding back into the music. And you can hear it in the evidence. We have, like you said, we have our like the brother says on the I Am Hip Hop channel, Together with Dello the Moore, right? So what's going on in the schools and the classes that people like you do? It's now permeating into the culture and it's being reflected back into the music.
Right.
And to me, the science and the knowledge is actually seeping into the mainstream consciousness before our very eyes. At the same time, we also have all the dumbed down rap music and the industry stuff and the wickedness going on at the same time. So without focusing too much on that, because we all know about that.
Right.
Those are the other positive, more healthy themes that me personally I recognize lately.
Exactly. Now with this idea of Moors making the declaration and claiming their nationality.
That goes back to the clip that you played at the top of the block. And that's a hard pill for many people to mentally and then spiritually and then physically after to actually make that leap and swallow. But it's the fact. I know people who have definitely relinquished their papers and now carry IDs from different sovereign Hawaiian groups and have the license plates on their car.
Like that's in that jurisdiction.
Yeah, in Hawaii. Yeah, and there's a few different groups who are working on nationality issues and paperwork. There's not one unified group, which is a challenge for the Kanaka Maoris. Much like in the States with the Moors.
Right.
So there's still fragmentation.
Yeah.
Which makes it harder to move forward with solidarity in a unified status.
Right.
Not all Kanaka Maoris just like up there in the States. Not all Kanaka Maoris agree with it.
Yeah.
Some are like, well, no, America took over and And that's what it is now, and so that's what we're going to roll with.
Mm.
Regardless of whether it was actually a crime, and regardless of actually if we're not even officially a state, the metaphor for Hawaii, by those that know, is America says that Hawaii is an adopted child. However, they don't have the adoption papers.
Yeah.
Keanu, what's his name? The main spokesman for this, I don't want to give the wrong name right now.
It's all good.
His last name.
It's all good.
Yeah, his last name's not coming to me right now. But his first name is Keanu. But he is representing the Hawaiian nation in the international courts right now. If anybody on YouTube or Google Keanu Sai, I believe Keanu Sai, S-A-I. He actually is right in line with the Moorish stance of nationality and sovereignty, and he actually was a member of the United States military, and then he's also a lawyer. And then he said at a certain point in his career, he figured out he was fighting for the wrong army.
Mm.
So he quit the United States military and is now dedicated his life to Kanaka issues and working in the international courts because of his law background. Keanu Sai is a person, if anyone wants to further follow up information on the Hawaiian situation connected with nationality. Also, I sent you a link to an article of another very active brother out here, Brother Kaeo, and he is the man who wanted him and his group blocked the construction trucks from bringing the equipment to the mountaintop. They wanted to build a telescope on the mountain, and so they set up a human roadblock in the roadway, and so the Popo came and threw them all in jail. So he challenged the state of Hawaii courts that if they want to try him, they have to try him in his native tongue, and he actually won that case. And so the court now has to go ahead and provide him his hearing in Olelo, Hawaii, which is the tongue of Hawaii.
Wow. Islam to that.
Islam, yeah. So I believe as far as the common issues and common causes and common interests of the Kanaka Maoli people with the greater Moorish uplifting of fallen humanity, the Kanakas have been doing a lot of important, real brave work out here. In my own lifetime, I've seen the arising of Kanaka awareness, the resurgence of Kanaka culture, language, dance, my own family members and friends, and it's not uncommon for them to now grow their own kawo, which is taro, which is what they make poi, and pampa'iai, which is when you make your own fresh poi in your garage, and just to be more sovereign, not only in the culture in their homes and with the children, but also in livelihood, in terms of diet, and in terms of how they view global politics, how they view legal issues, how they view nationality issues. Just in my lifetime, I've seen a major shift in awareness to where we have people like Kaeo now in court challenging the judge. You have to speak to me in Olelo, Hawaii. It's my right. The public school system actually has a Hawaiian language immersion program. And this is a public state-funded program where a child has a choice to receive an education in Hawaiian, in Olelo, Hawaii, rather than receive their education primarily according to the English American Standard Education. Right. So those are a few examples of consciousness rising, Moorish awareness happening here in Hawaii just in my lifetime.
Yeah. So they're directly enforcing nationality and birthrights.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
They're taking off their license plates. They're putting on their own license plate. They have areas of jurisdiction where they are the sheriffs of that area. They have their appointed elders. They have their appointed enforcers. They have their, they want to go ahead and continue King Kalakawa's work and Queen Yokolani's work and continue to build this new modern Kanaka society that is one tribe of the greater international Moorish Renaissance movement.
And just standing on the fact that they have the Aboriginal, Indigenous, inherited birthright to be.
Yeah. And walking into that court and standing on that square.
Okay, now let me ask this. Now, is there a thing there of the color game, the black and the white and whatever, or?
Yeah. Oh, okay. So, like I said, the white overthrew to avoid taxes and make more money. And then underneath that, we have the makeup of Hawaii after the Kanakas. Then we had European colonists, Christian come in and outlaw all the hula, outlaw all the Hawaiian culture. It's paganistic, and everybody put on a dress and read the Bible. Those were the owners that came in. Then the main worker bee groups that they brought in were, after the Kanaka and the Caucasian, the next group was the Chinese. The next group after the Chinese they brought in was the Portuguese and the Japanese. The next groups they brought in after that was Puerto Ricans and Filipinos. So that's like the 7 major ethnic groups that comprise what is now a local person. So commonly in Hawaii, somebody will be a mixture of probably all of those things.
Yeah.
Now, the original melanated man is also part of Hawaii, primarily through the American military. And being based here and stationed here and then intermarrying too. So basically what you have in Hawaii is a mankind who has genetics from every major region of the globe.
Right.
And so, I mean, if we wanted to correlate it to the myth of Yaku, the reintegration that is maybe the outcome of creating mankind. You could see Hawaii as an example of the reintegration, the genetic reintegration.
Right. Like it's like a sped up program or something.
Yeah. So a lot of us that study sociology, study esoteric topics, study history, know about the science, we understand Hawaii as almost like a social experiment, like a petri dish.
Yeah.
That some social architects at some point set up.
So were the Portuguese the only Europeans brought there like that as this
on the worker class
the worker
side, yes.
Yeah, from the worker perspective.
Yes, on the worker side, we're the only Europeans, but also we're not purely European.
Right.
Yeah, I personally, my mother is of Irish Scottish ancestry, and my father is 100% Azorian. So because of that, I have way more European features than most of my quote unquote pure Portuguese family.
Right.
They have more olive skin than me and more curly hair and darker hair than me.
Oh wow.
So even though the Portuguese that were brought here were quote unquote European, they were not really accepted into that hierarchy as one of the
exactly. Yeah.
Because they're on a peripheral nation, And specifically the stocks that came here were sent way out to these islands and were farmers for the mainlanders on the Azores. But that's also what Kalakaua was interested in, their skill set, because of the irrigation, because of the animal husbandry, because of the agriculture, because of the basalt, moldite, rock masonry skills that they had. So that's why he was interested in that specific group from Europe. But other than that, the other groups, like I said, the first group was Chinese, the second group was Japanese, and then the Filipinos came in. Most old school Hawaiian families are Chinese, because the Chinese men, when they came here, they weren't allowed to bring women. So all those Chinese men took Kanaka whites. The Japanese population on Hawaii basically adopted the culture and the language and the value system of the owners, and because of that, and because of their own cultural correlations with that paradigm, they became the administrators, the rulers, the governors. Our governor right now in the state is of Japanese descent. So most of the upper middle echelons in the state is the Japanese population here in Hawaii. Even we have in Congress, Hanabusa represents us. And in the past we had Dan Tanaka and Dan Inouye were two longtime senators from Hawaii, both of Japanese stock. So from the owners, Caucasian owners, and then the Japanese, and then kind of everybody else is kind of mixed up under that. That's maybe the pecking order here.
Yeah.
To answer about how the black-white game was, there's a white amalgamated game. It's not a black-white game. It's everything's all amalgamated and mixed up. So if that makes sense to
I get you.
The question.
Yeah, I get you. Mm.
So it's not a black-white thing at all.
Mm.
Cultural capital, and education, and who owns land, who doesn't own land. Those are more the factors of the have and have not.
Yeah.
But finish one more point I wanted to make about Hawaii and the sociological experiment of the reintegrating back in Hawaii. There's also a legend and a myth out there is Hawaii is going to be the keystone of the change around the whole planet. Because if the Hawaiians can stand on their square and reclaim their nationality and a sovereignty, that would then create a windfall and of others going ahead and following suit. And almost like there's a belief or a myth that Hawaii's role is preordained to do that through the power of aloha and through this frequency that we harness here. And that's the frequency and the bravery that the whole world needs to go ahead and counteract this, to create this shift and uplift all of humanity, is in that aloha spirit. Because aloha is loving. Aloha is a word that can mean hello. Aloha is a word that can mean goodbye. Aloha means to care, but aloha also means to stand up for yourself. Ha is the breath. And there's a funny saying that we have out here when people visit is aloha is free, but so is cracks, so is a punch. Aloha is free, but so is dirty lickings. Mm-hmm. So you can get it this way or that way, depending on how you come in the house, Right. Yeah. So the Aloha spirit is not all about flowers and hula dances. Aloha spirit is a very deep, powerful thing. I believe Aloha can take the day.
Straight. Well, give thanks for the build, bro.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate that.
I want to give you thanks for allowing me to come and share my voice with the community and all the nobles out there. Islam to everybody out there. Peace and love and aloha to all you guys. I hope that this 3 minutes that we spent together, I said something beneficial to anybody listening. that would be my intention and purpose in building with you folks today. Yes.
Give thanks. We'll build
Give
up.
thanks.
Yeah, if anything tomorrow, I'll give you a shout. Or whenever I get off this thing.
Okay. Islam Grandmaster Kujo, Islam to all the nobles out there. Respect.
Peace.
Hello.
Once you are who your ancient foremothers and forefathers were, everything will be right in tune. That's all.
/blog, which will bring you up to date in what is happening now.
We are so lucky that the Queen and that the Hawaiian Kingdom continues to exist, because the Hawaiian Kingdom, to my knowledge, is the only country on earth that is not a corporation. And indeed, the United States became officially a corporation in 1871 with the creation of the District of Columbia. And if you Google definition of United States under the United States Code, Article 28, Section 3002, line 15, definition of the United States, they tell you, the United States equals a federal corporation. And what is a corporation? Who are the people you're actually working for? The definition of a corporation is a legal entity. So we have a legal, illegal entity occupying Hawaii. And I think the question here is, because you're in a community of people that are filled with the aloha spirit.
Islam, Morris, pardon the interjection. I just wanted to say Islam to Mad Dog Vashan, who just subscribed, because as you see, or you can't see, well, his profile picture is Bob Marley. So we just want to send a get up, stand up to everybody out there listening, because Bob's in the house after we showed the fez. Just showing you how in tune it is real time when you say we're Moors. Showing you how real it is. Goddamn commercials. Goddamn commercials.
Is a legal entity. So we have 71 with the creation of the District of Columbia. And if you Google definition of the United States under the United States Code, Article 28, Section 3002, line 15, definition of the United States, they tell you the United States equals a federal corporation. And what is a corporation? Who are the people you're actually working for? The definition of a corporation is a legal entity. So we have a legal, illegal entity occupying Hawaii. And I think the question here is, because you're in a community of people that are filled with the aloha spirit, that you come forward. There was a great mistake that we were all born into. Our moms didn't know when they were applying for birth certificate that they were signing over their beloved baby until the federal corporation. And so until we declare upon ourselves and unto the world our true status, who we are, where we are, and what law we live by, we will be presumed to be property of that corporation. And I'm no longer property of that corporation. Hawaii County, Hawaiian Kingdom has a powerful destiny on earth as it is in heaven. And if we stand true, faithfully, with aloha, we can untangle this. And I want to support all of you to reflect on that, because yes, there are consequences in the law, but beyond that, there is love and forgiveness and healing.
Thank you for your testimony.
God bless you.
I've come to know that I'm a protected person. I'd like to tell you folks that you are too. I don't have to repeat everything that everybody else said. I'm sure that it's kind of getting in your mind. What I'm going to ask you is to take this information home, because this isn't going to stop. It's not a small thing. It's not one little tiny group of people over here. It's huge. I've known about it. I've known about the problems with it since March 1999, when at that time I lived on Maui. It's only gotten bigger. It's not a small group of people. And the reason it's not a small group of people is because these are actual facts. And we have professors, we have people like Ron Williams Jr., who is a professor of history, coming out with facts on a daily basis. In fact, he has Truthful Tuesdays, where he pulls one small little fact out that everybody can see. And now everybody knows. And our children know, and our young people are knowing. And back when I was young, we were just fighting for what we now have, Olelo in schools.
And is a victim of war crimes that stem from the unlawful legislation. I demand this body immediately cease and desist.
There was a point in time where there was argument between, was it a flat earth or was there a round earth? And we look back and we sort of laugh at some people. We are at that point. And what we're asking is, please be thorough on the data. Don't rely on what was told, what was passing. We're asking that you be thorough, because it's been presented to you, the evidence, and we are asking for you to take your own time and really look into it.
The veil has lifted. There is no more hiding the truth. We are here. You all have accountability to do the right thing here. We did it with the GMO. You just keep doing it, because if you don't, you know how the rules go. It falls on your mo'opuna, and it will fall on them. It's just how it goes. So we can come with all the aloha and all of that, but all of you need to do your job. We applaud, Jen, that in Kona, when we ask people to talk to us, our representatives on the council, you should have talked. You should listen. You shouldn't be scared for your jobs. You shouldn't be scared because your new salary, or for whatever reason it is. You should be doing the right thing. You should be doing kuleana. Because they're saying that the children and the babies and let me tell you that the babies coming in has a deep impact on them.
As an American national, I have children who were born here. I am a member of the World Moorish Nation, which is the Kanaka Maoli, the Moro, the Maoli, the Maori, the Kamau. We're all the same bloodline of people growing up on the planet Earth in different locations. And I'm honored to be here in front of the Hawaiian Kingdom flag that I see behind you with the gold fringe, acknowledging that there is a war going on. As an American national, I have children who were born here. I am a member of the World Moorish Nation, which is the Kanaka Maoli, the Moro, the Maoli, the Maori, the Kamau. We're all the same bloodline of people growing up on the planet Earth in different locations. And I'm honored to be here in front of the Hawaiian Kingdom flag that I see behind you with the gold fringe, acknowledging that there is a war going on. Which stated that civilians who are nationals of the occupying state, which is the Kanaka Maoli, the Moro, the Maoli, the Maori, the Kamau, we're all the same bloodline of people growing up on the planet Earth in different locations. And I'm honored to be here in front of the Hawaiian Kingdom flag that I see behind you with the gold fringe, acknowledging that there is a war going on. I am an American national. I am an administrator, a jurist,
and an adherent to the law. I reside in the Puna district here on the island of Hawaii. As an American national, I am protected under the international criminal law in TADIC judgment of 1999 by the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia Appeals Chamber, which stated that civilians who are nationals of the occupying state are also protected because of their allegiance to the occupied state. And I am clarifying my allegiance to the Hawaiian Kingdom as an American national in the current situation of the illegal occupation of the Hawaiian Kingdom.
Corporations cannot extend their arm beyond the corporation. The people in the United States of America Republic, not the United States Incorporated, are second under Hawaiian Kingdom law, under the United States of America Republic law, not the United States Incorporated. Sovereign God, sovereign individuals, then the government subject to the people. Corporations are not mentioned. This is the world we live in today. Flip that upside down. Corporations try to run it. Second is government. Third, people are enslaved. And God is optional. We live in an upside down world. Today, we're not asking you to make any rulings or judgments. Today, we want you to know that you have no authority. Now, I look at some of your faces. I love you guys. I see you in the store, I say hi and give you hugs. Okay? This has nothing to do personally with anybody. This has only to do with the truth. This is not about race. This is not about nationality. This is about corporation versus people and how the so-called US government wages war on the people every day. And they use you guys. They use you guys, unwittingly or knowingly, to wage that war. Today, I urge you to listen to everything that was said here. And in my testimony, I want to encompass all the other testimonies about the true relationship and the true political standing between the Hawaiian Kingdom and the United States. When that is part of my testimony. I also want you to understand your standing, that corporations cannot make rulings that apply to the people. And that's all you are. So I too applaud Jen. I too, she is not basing this on race or anything other than what is true. Now, this 160 that you have on the agenda, I'm kind of at a loss as to why you would have to put something in law saying we'll be accurate and we will be factual. Isn't that a given? That's what we're doing today. We're being factual and accurate. We're being an example of how to lead. You cannot lead the people if you're a corporation. Now you all, I'm sure, take this to heart, your role. But you got to understand your role. You got to do your homework. I did mine. Nobody was going to teach me that. In fact, I was taught just the opposite. So please go do your homework and make decisions accordingly.
Thank you for your testimony. And I support Agenda 160 because I believe in Pono ethics that support freedom and truth for all. Therefore, I support the Hawaiian Kingdom and sovereignty. Hawaii was taken over illegally, a war crime. When will the US government stop stealing the lands of the indigenous people and instead start honoring them? Mahalo.
I'd rather you spend the money researching what Jen Ruggles asked you to research, which is whether Hawaii is occupied. And I've provided a printout of things to help in that research. And it's mainly having to do with the United States, which is like a corporation, the money system, the IRS. It's, you know, the United States of America isn't really what you think it is. So I've provided a list for everybody. It's got, you know, the CFR rules. It's got different cases, cited here for you, but you should really look at what Jen's saying. I think we should rather be the Hawaiian Kingdom than be part of the corporate United States of America, because that's headed in the wrong direction, the United States, and I don't want to be a part of it. I think that, Hawaiian Kingdom would be a much better place for all of us to live, and we could take care of each other and not be the world police and not be making our people work themselves to death just so they can have a new house and a new car and a new insurance policy. And yeah, we're coming down to things are changing. Layers are exposing, the truth is coming out, and I think you'd rather spend the money instead of reviewing a gun law. You should rather review if the United States is actually even really what it says it is, and support Jen on this. Thank you.
It's been 25 years since public law, U.S. Public Law 103-150 has been incorporated into the health law of Hawaii. And why did put in the health law? Because it's all part of brainwashing. And that's the part of the war crime we're talking about, brainwash. How long will it happen? It's been 25 years, and the continuation of.
Oh yeah, and the more who's talking now, remember before they cut the feed, before they cut the video feed, because I pushed everything, it's not doing anything. Camera's not working, only mic. That's it. The man who's talking right now has the big Olmec head nose. He doesn't have the nose like the other one. So you have perspective.
Business as usual, gotta stop. So we're on the line. But I realized one thing. A lot of our people from back when Physical Hero and Mr. Desher wrote the Hilo County Council Charter, was designed to help the Hawaiians here as a nationality, not a race. I hope you guys are 007s within our occupied state that it helps.
Yeah, I'll rewind that one for you.
Brainwash. How long will it happen? It's been 25 years, and the continuation of business as usual, gotta stop. So we're on the line. But I realized one thing. A lot of our people from back when Physical Hero and Mr. Desher wrote the Hilo County Council Charter. It's designed to help the Hawaiians here. The nationality, not a race. I hope you guys are 007s within our occupied state that it helps. And if you are, I'd like to commend you. It's a nice, it's a real art to be a politician in an occupied state and still try to help your people. Congratulate you on that if you are that. If you're not, well, you just along with the other people to rip us off and make everybody else money and you live with it. And we're stuck here with nothing. But just like to, I'm here in support of Jen Ruggles and her efforts throughout all her time in here. I don't know why she didn't go again, because the trick to politicians is you get reelected. She got a hard time in the first semester, sophomore. But and when you come back as a junior and you come back 3 times, wow, the people have spoken. So he's hoping that she make it again. So the people will have spoken again, and that she has support in that way. And the second time, yeah. But unfortunately, she's not. So I just like to say, from 25 years ago, same face used to come. We have new faces. The new generation now. I don't really talk too much nowadays. We got people come up, they akamai, they're not on food stamps anymore. the professional people, and I hope you can hear them before, this guy says footsteps, many worry. But now we have really great people become. And I hope, when we first started back then, a lot of people said, my hand's tied. So, if you make big enough noise, you can untie your hand. Then you can do the things you need to do.
Thank you. Thank you
So
for
again,
your testimony.
thank you, Jen Ruggles, and I hope one day somewhere inside your manao, you guys would
Thank you.
come that way.
Okay,
Aloha.
I'd like to call Christine Kubat up to the table.
For the record, my name is Pua Emma An. Some of you may remember me from such resolutions as the North Korea resolution. I was really hoping that Councilmember Chung was here because I had some choice words for him, like amongst Koreans. But needless to say, this is going to be a lot shorter than it was originally going to be. But if someone could kindly remind him that Korea was a country that was occupied by the Japanese for many years and is currently still under a form of occupation, regardless of whether they have their independence back. I understand that you folks are in a difficult position with this and, being elected officials and all that. But, I was really hoping to provide him with some context, behind what he's doing. Since the North Korea resolution, I actually did go back to the homeland of our grandfathers. And I visited a prison in Seoul that was kept for independence activists during the occupation period and for democratization activists in South Korea up until about 1987, because Korea was actually a series of US-backed dictatorships up until about 1987. And also I visited Jeju Island, where approximately this year is the 70th anniversary of the April 3rd massacre. About 30,000 people were killed by the United States and Republic of Korea governments because they wanted unification. They were against splitting the country in two. Now, and I was going to tell him this and remind him of these things if he didn't already know them. But I guess not. Well, and one other thing, while we are allocating pillage money, please do award those grants to those Hawaiian organizations. Mahalo.
So you know that Mr. Chung will probably have heard that either or review it. Thank you.
Wow. Oh my gosh, this is really happening. We're really sitting here talking about this. Thank you, Jennifer. Anybody who knows Jennifer knows that she's a beautiful, caring, intelligent person, that she's brought this issue up because she really believes that it's important. And I'm stunned sitting here listening today to the sincerity and the way that people have presented this before you. And so I'm going to ask you all to respect that sincerity and to really do something. It's not enough for Mr. Kamehameha to say, it doesn't matter because I think so. That's not enough. Please don't accept that. Do something. Find people. And also find people who are not conflicted. I believe in Mr. Kamehameha. I believe he's a good person, but honestly, he's deeply conflicted because if he agrees with the position that's been taken by these people, he doesn't have a job. That's like the most basic form of conflict of interest that there is. So this is what I would do if I were you. I would find a way to reach out to experts who are not conflicted and to have them render an opinion that's backed by fact and actually addresses the issues that have been brought before you, and then proceed from there. It's the next step. It has integrity. Don't dismiss this. You know, Jennifer, you know these good people. Don't just dismiss it. Yeah, wow, we're here. I have a birth certificate. I have a social security number. I'm technically American like that. My father was born in the territory. My grandma was born in the kingdom. Before that, we were still here. So we find ourselves in this same place again, and these people coming up again. I'm not even 30 years old. I'm a baby. And yeah, I could talk about, the small things that I try and know and the small things that, oh yeah, I memorized this,
number that I can tell you so you can go look them up. But that's not why I'm here talking today. I'm really thankful that I have the opportunity just to sit in front of you and just to give my mana'o, small kind. Because I'm thankful for what you do. I have family that works county, family that works state. My father was chief of medicine on Maui for Kaiser Permanente for the past 30 years. He just retired this year. This is my family too. I'm so thankful you guys keep our roads good. We have this electricity. We have these things available to us. But we can't keep forgetting what we already know is true. And the truth is that my grandma was born in the kingdom. My father was born in the territory. And I was born in America. How come though? We was all born in the same place.
I realized that a lot of people's actions many, many, many years ago have contributed to the situation that we find ourselves in today. And I think that all we can do is try to do the best we can to make things right. And I would like to see that happen. Thank you for your time and your attention. I appreciate that.
And I encourage the council to encourage Mr. Kamehameha to provide a legal opinion, and if he can't, then hire someone to do that for him. I think it's long past due. We need to address the issue. I'm very shocked that all the attorneys there that you have did not have the gut to bring this up earlier. So it's time, and thank you very much, Jennifer Ruggles, and that's all I need to say.
Islam. Yes. Yes, that was Big Island Video News. Big Island Video News. Hawaii Kingdom supporters tell council cease and desist. That's how they're repping out there. Sounds familiar. Sounds very familiar. And Islam to the Moor that was there put us on the record. Didn't talk about, he's not part of a temple or something like that. He's part of some Moorish group of whoever's. He's from some Republic of Moorish, United States, whatever. You say some Moorish consulate post or nothing like that. He said Moorish nation. Moorish nation. Moorish nation? That's really where he went with it. That's where he went with it. Moorish nation. Let me see if this thing. I really wanted to show this one. Just again. Again, for the mother that was asking, where the hell do I get this stuff? It's not even me. This is Moors. Moors out there studying. And they already know how Cujo does. So they'll send stuff that they find. They already know that this is about people's birthright. So they're going to send stuff that they find. That's worthy. They don't send 500 billion stuff and stuff is useless. They send stuff that works. That's crazy. They really put a block on it. They really put a block on it. Turn camera on. Camera's on. Nothing. They went hard tonight, Morris, but they couldn't stop the audio. So what they're stopping me from showing you, because they're haters, like that the Moors are winning. So Google search my old historic house.blogspot.com. My old historic house.blogspot.com. Blackamoors, fabulous or offensive? Blackamoors, fabulous or offensive? Google that, see what comes up. If the page comes up, it's going to have a blackamoor with some red lips and a gold jacket. Just going to read this article. I would like to start this post by saying that I am not a racist. I hope I do not offend anyone. That is not my intention. If I do, I would like to say I'm sorry right now. I love Blackamoor sculptures for their beauty, history, and decorative appeal. And after all, they are only statues made long ago and not by my hand. Right? European again, obviously. European has to prove to the niggers that she's not racist or he's not racist. So they can allow them to think a bit about themselves. Going on the record, I'm not racist because I have this statue, because I know, just the part that she didn't say, because I know how you niggers are. That as soon as we show you some statue, you're talking about some black caricature BS. And that black face and all that type of crap. So put it on the record, I'm not racist. I love Blackamoor sculptures for their beauty. For their beauty, that's how they feel about a Blackamoor? For their history. History of Blackamoor sculptures? I bet you that goes back further than some slave sculptures. Some African American museum sculptures. Moors were a type of black African that were captured and sold into slavery. Moors were a type of black Africans that were captured and sold into slavery, mostly on the European market and very heavily in Italy. They were Muslims and some were even found in Spain. They were often referred to as Nubian slaves. Again, the Nubian and then the Egyptian and then the connection, because they're really talking about the Blackamoors. Because that's what we were. Blackamoors. We ran everything. You want anything to do with agriculture? Check the Moors. You want anything to do with science? Check the Moors. Occult, black magic, whatever? Check the Moors. You want some Christian stuff? Check the Moors. Because we had it locked down. Why don't you want it locked down again? Why are you fighting so hard from being your ancient foremothers and forefathers? Blackamoors have a long history in decorative art, and it stretches all the way back to the 17th century. The trend seemed to have started in Italy and especially in Venice, The Moors were sometimes used to steer the gondola boats, and this is the earliest pictures we find of them. Statues of blackamoors in these boats are very common. You think some slave or whatever. No, he's the navigator. The guy who you see today on the boat that's taking people around down the canal of the... That's the same people. It was their boat. Slaves don't have boats and stuff like that. Why would a slave have a boat taking people places and you think that the slave is somebody, he has a master or somebody? Why would he have a master? And he owns a boat. Why would a slave master have a Moor in his picture with a turban on, and then you think that the European in the picture is the master? Since 17th century, they're making figurines or whatever. Blackamoor figurines, as they are called. Blackamoors have been favorite decorative pieces for antique collectors and interior designers for years. People been collecting you. Just like they used to collect your dick in a jar. Now they collect figurines of you. And you still think that they don't honor you. They cut your ass cheeks off and stuff like that because they were mesmerized with your ass. And they had to take it with them because they were mesmerized with the stuff in King Tut's tomb. So they had to take it with them. That's what they do. But that's not you. That's just some statue, some figurine, whatever. Oh, but you don't want to be... No, well, then they have everything. Because they're going to polish down all those Moorish statues and Moorish carpets and vacuum them, steam clean them, make sure everything's good. And they're going to take your ancestral spirits and have heaven on earth. So you're playing games. But you don't want your birthright. When it's your right.
When you rate me in the basement of the MTC. If you're not aware of this, thank you. Yeah, I'll be done in just a minute. I will. Thank you. I'd love to talk to you. Okay. However, absolutely, I'd love to talk to you afterwards. However, for the atonement to take place, we have to be accountable for what we do. We don't get to. Thank you. But you know what? You're in my personal space. No. I have more to say. My name is McKenna Jensen. Okay. I approve this message. I will share with you. However, it is really important. It is really important that you understand, in order to keep our wards safe, in order to keep our church safe, do not call the police. Don't touch me. You're assaulting me. In order to keep the church safe, we need to hold sexual predators accountable, whether they are pedophiles or whether they are rapists like Joseph Bishop. When you raped me in the basement of the...
So Joseph Bishop, some church guy out there, raped some congregation member. Congregation member said, F you guys, I'm going onto the stage and I'm going to let everybody know that their favorite guy sold them out. You don't have to believe anything. I'm just here on the mic, just letting you know. That guy back there, your pastor guy, raped me in the basement. Brave woman. Brave woman. Pedophiles taking a stand. You're not gonna mess with their boys network. The next best thing to a boy for them is a little girl. Watch your daughters. These people are not playing out here. They're raping grown women. What do you think they're gonna do with their children? You keep playing around with the corpse. Keep playing with the corpse. But there's no way that you can say you weren't told. You were told. Speaking about Blackamoor statues, they got European statues with them getting head from little boys and stuff like that. Ain't no secret to them how they get down. And the secret to your dumbass. You want to hear what Moors are saying? You listen to everybody else. As soon as the Moors, and then for the Moors too, don't forget, go back. We got about a good 1900 now. Go back to some of the early ones. See how many different places that we've been spreading this info over the past many years. See how far we've taken this. To still be where we're at, letting it be known. Islam to all the Moors that always say, hey, I was in my dungeon studying. I found this interesting. Right. I like the more with the Bob and Bunny. Bob and Bunny. Bunny with the fez on. And then all day Bob Marley just jumping up, letting everybody know he's still here. Everybody gone like that. They let you know they live again. They let you know. Laughing on the higher plane. It's really going down. There was some questions that got sent because, like we were saying earlier, Mother was saying that there's a war going on, for real. And, the psychology that has been worked on our people has them straight fighting their own. Now, if there was a yellow guy, if there was a yellow guy, and the yellow guy went to somebody who's from whatever Asiatic nation that looks like him, and he's yellow, and they told him, hey, you know, you're not yellow, you're actually one of these Asiatic nations. What would get them to say, nah, it's all right, and stay being yellow? If there was some brown people that belong to some Asiatic nation, and then somebody from one of those Asiatic nations said, hey, you know, you're not brown, you're actually one of these Asiatic nations. Would that individual tell them that they're a cult and they don't need that and they don't want to convert to a religion? Now, we want to give thanks to Moors who know that they're Moors and they be the best Moors that they can be for themselves. Forget what anybody thinks about it and whatever. You're being the best Moor that you could be, and you feel good, do your thing. Now, these innocent Moors who are just Moors, you know what I mean, being themselves, as GS, they might talk about certain things they don't talk about with any and everybody, because Moors face some serious trauma out there dealing with their people. The people really have nowhere to turn because of the abuse. Because a big part of healing is letting go, and you know, talking is a way of letting go of certain stuff that might be bogging you down. You know, messing up your routine with other stuff you're trying to do just because you're caught dealing with you know, these lower level beings that really don't get what's up. But you got to deal with them. So we give honors to the Moors out there who, you know, they're taking some blows for the team, just for the simple fact that they're trying to be who their ancient foremothers and forefathers are, and they didn't really comprehend how shocking know thyself is to people receiving know thyself. Certain people can't handle the light, and they just turn their back to it, which is good. You know what I mean? Hey, now I don't got to deal with you. But you know, some people get the light in their eyes and then they just want to fumble around instead of trying to get their bearings. You know, they just keep fumbling around. They don't stop and use some of their other senses. So Moors dealing with all these different type of people, and just decided to get some questions from those kind of people. So Moors that are out here being Moors, and they're engaging people because they look like them, but they always have a challenge from Moors. But they would never challenge the other national that works in the same building or whatever like that about why they do whatever from their culture. But as soon as a black guy has a turban on, oh, why you gotta do that? Well, why? Well, how come you're? What do you mean that you're? Everybody, you accept that guy over there for being who he is when you say he's a national. Oh, because they're not ready for, the light. So we're gonna slow it down. We're gonna hit the brakes and put some of these out to try to assist some others who, they might not even be riding the fence. They're straight on the other side looking over like, you ain't proved to me that works and all that type of stuff. But, who they're talking to is being a Moor and ain't no issues. Everything's straight, right? So like we were talking about last class, there's some denial going on. Supreme denial. So let's start with this. Let me get this book. All right. So here are a few questions that have been thrown around. There's some questions thrown around. All right, 1 sec. Just look for something for this first question. All right. So first question. What is the difference between lawful and legal? So when we as Moors are studying, we like to go to law dictionaries when words relative to law are used. Like we're not going to take it from the perspective of a regular dictionary. We're going to go to a law dictionary because the jurisdiction of law trumps every other jurisdiction because everything is governed by law. So law always applies no matter what you're dealing with. Legal. Conforming to the law, according to law, required or permitted by law, not forbidden or discountenanced by law, good and effectual in law. And then that would make you think that if things are legal, that's a good thing. It goes on. Proper or sufficient to be recognized by the law. Recognizable in the courts. Competent or adequate to fulfill the requirements of the law. Cognizable in the courts of law, as distinguished from courts of equity. Construed or governed by the rules and principles of law, in contradistinction to rules of equity. posited by the courts as the inference or imputation of the law, as a matter of construction rather than established by actual proof. C. Lawful. Lawful. Of or pertaining to law. As to legal consideration, damages, day, debts, demand, defense, disability, discretion, estate, incapacity, irregularity, memory, mortgage, process, relevancy, remedy, reversion, and tender. See those titles. Lawful. Lawful. Legal. Warranted or authorized by the law. Having the qualifications prescribed by law. Not contrary to nor forbidden by the law. The principal distinction between the terms lawful and legal is that the former contemplates the substance of law, the latter the form of law. To say of an act that is lawful implies that it is authorized, sanctioned, or at any rate not forbidden by law. To say that it is legal implies that it is done or performed in accordance with the forms and usages of law or in a technical manner. In this sense, illegal approaches the meaning of invalid. For example, a contract or will executed without the required formalities might be said to be invalid or illegal, but could not be described as unlawful. Further, the word lawful more clearly implies an ethical content than does legal. So you might look at them as the same because they're both in the jurisdiction of law. But know that the real foundation of the law is that it appeals to ethics and morality and sincerity, things that Noble Drew Ali even put in our Quran. So we can be on that supreme level of law in our existence, in our being. Not just because we have some paper, we wrote some good writ, so then everything's good. No, we're also lined up properly. The latter goes no further than to denote compliance with positive technical or formal rules. Legal. That was legal. Now lawful. While the former usually imports a moral substance or ethical permissibility. A further distinction is that the word legal is used as a synonym of constructive, which lawful is not. Thus, legal fraud is fraud implied or inferred by law, or made out by construction. Lawful fraud would be a contradiction of terms. Again, legal is used as the antithesis of equitable. Thus, we speak of legal assets, legal estate, etc., but not of lawful assets or lawful estate. But there are some connections in which the two words are used to exact equivalence. Thus, a lawful writ, warrant, or process is the same as a legal writ, warrant, or process. And then that's from the law dictionary. So then you can take that and you can go further with that or you could accept it as what it is, make your decision as to what your 5 senses tell you about these 2 words based on you reading the definitions. And then when you reach your conclusion, from that point on, you're going forward with whatever it is that was manifest. Whatever alchemy that you did in your mind to create the path that you're going to follow moving forward with regard to how you're going to look at these 2 words. Which one are you going to use? Because you don't want to use both. Just for the simple fact that you already in your mind created, there's a separation between them by presenting it lawful and legal. So that should do you something, because that came right out of the law dictionary. Can an agency operating as government legally certify anything? I.e., I got a certified copy of my name correction from the Washington State Court to use to update my status at my job. Because of, due to, since we're under occupation by these agencies operating as government, assuming certain jurisdictions like certifying things and authenticating things and doing these things that's really not in their power because they're not the sovereigns here. You're already under threat, duress, and coercion. Being under threat, duress, and coercion, there always has to be a loophole because it's under threat, duress, and coercion. If it was really serious, they would just bomb everywhere that they want to have less population of whatever. Now you have the population that you need for your one world order BS. So do your one world order now, because now you just killed everybody that you needed to kill. But they can't directly do that. When they're trying to say they have certain powers, but they're an agency operating as something that they're not, anything that they do is a fraud. They can't be an agency operating as something, saying we have judicial authority or whatever authority, without the people giving them that authority. That the people are then going to complain that these people are abusing the authority that they gave them, like a dummy. Because again, you know that it's an agency operating as government. So if Walmart is operating as a hospital, you're going to go and then you lay on the conveyor belt where you pay, and that's how you get operated on. If you think that's real, then you're going to get whatever it is that you're going to get. If you think that's real. Always remember that 75–80% of the time you talk to a Moor, so some of the stuff he says is going to be right on point and exact, and you should probably consider those things that are said. The other stuff is going to be what you decide to go research and check to fill in the gaps so you could figure this mess out that, you know, we got ourselves into by some of us being sellouts and some of us being whatever, you know. But somebody operating as somebody can't legally or lawfully do anything. With regard to certify something. Because they're operating as. They're not government. What documents would need to be presented at a job or company in order to correct your status? The real question is, why did you get the job in that dead status? How come you didn't get the job in your free national name? Oh, well, I didn't know about that yet. Oh, well, ignorance of the law is no excuse. So what do you mean you didn't know? How come? If you find out about being more, and the first place that you're going is how do I change my name on the job with this? Then you're probably heading in the wrong direction. Because saying that you're going to correct your status at your company or job when you proclaim your nationality is something that's done after maybe you're a year or two in this. You're not even putting them on alert right now that you know anything. Business as usual. That's why Noble Drew Ali said leave all business in your own name there. Don't mix your new name in that old stuff. Why are you gonna do that? Why are you gonna tarnish your free national name with some Negro colored BS? But if you're going to do this, you would talk to the HR department, but you would have to have something to present to them that your status is corrected. Now, to the big rectangle, then the warning, 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 warning flashing. You see that flashing right now in your mind. Warning, 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 warning. When you cross that line with them, they might sever ties with you. If you cross that line with them about correct your status at your job, they might. And I could only go from my personal experience of me declaring my nationality to my quote unquote employer. And after the weekend, Monday morning, whole office is quiet. And you just feel something's up. Like this one day, everybody's in already. Everybody's working already. This is not how it is every Monday. Before you even get to your desk, intercept you, take it to a little room. You have the one manager in there who's the Asiatic that he's not saying anything. So he's just looking at the table, didn't look up or whatever. Then you got the European who was not the boss of the Asiatic, but acted like the boss of the whole department. She wasn't really the boss. She was the same level as the Asiatic. He was just cool. She was just somebody always kissing the bum of somebody. And she did all the talking. Here's the thing, you know, gave me the paper or whatever. You're not gonna talk about this, and gag order. But you know, here's the check. Thank you for all the services and the whatever. And that was that. That was my experience. So, you know, went back to the drawing board and then realized, oh, learn to live within contracts. All right, try. We'll try again, see what happens. We'll learn to live within contracts. Okay, well, if you learn to live within contracts, then you're filling out the stuff, okay? No, there's nothing here that says more. There's other right there. All right, check that off. We'll just write Indigenous Aboriginal in here. It's asking for color right there. It says brown, so we'll just check brown. All rights reserved, you know, bam. Going for the interview. Hey, we noticed you didn't check black. How come you didn't check black? And they caught me off guard, like, I didn't check black. Because I'm brown. And then that was that. That was it. And then that was, you know, learn to live within contracts, because realize that our people out here, they're not into supporting their own. So making finance to live off supporting your own, like you have to, or off getting support from your own, you have to compromise in some way because of how lost our people are. If you do it from the heart, then no blessings will flow. But in that world, you know, blessings alone is not what certain people want. Certain people want their fiat or whatever. So certain things, like, so you gotta go to the grocery store, you gotta buy something. Oh, you gotta go farmer's market, you gotta buy. On the organic, whatever, okay, no problem, you can get that, you gotta buy. All right, so you need to have something. So where the Moors were at during the time of Noble Drew Ali, Marcus Garvey and all that, is that when you go for a job, you're going to your own for it. You're not going to some foreigner where you have to worry about, well, what name? Do I have to go and change the name and correct the status with the people at the job and all that stuff? You have to do that because you'll be working for your own. Who would hire you because of your skill set that you have, not because of what ID you showed them. You got the skill set to do the work? All right. Then you could work. Because people get caught up when they hear Moors, they get caught up in either they get lost in history or whatever, or they get caught up in some name changing, they got some court case, or they got some issue they're trying to get out of, change their name so they can get out of the situation. And then they forget that there's a divine part of this that runs this. That all that stuff you're talking about, correct this and change statuses and whatever, is not going to work if you're not being yourself. If you still want to be nigger, but correct some name or something, then that correct name stuff ain't going to work when you try to apply it. Guaranteed. Seen it happen. Speaking from experience. Seeing premature actions by unstudied Moors that get them in situations they didn't even have to be in. They only got in it because they forgot about the divine. There's a divine part to this. So don't ever think you found out about Moors, and then because you found out about Moors and correct your status, you're going to do that today. And then tomorrow, everybody's going to bow down to you because you know you're an L or a Bay now. So they owe you a great debt. So the Europeans going to bow down to you. Anything you do, you're going to get. Maybe if your spirit's right. But if you're just coming from Negro Black mindset, a year, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe even 8 years. You've been Negro Black colored, then you found about Moors, and you think you're just going to apply this? Don't do it. Because that nigger gene jumps out of people at the worst time. Make you do something stupid. And then try to use the birthright. When the thing that you did is not protected under the birthright. Because what you did was unlawful. Because when you speak with law, you're talking about universal, natures, common, constitutional. And if Noble Drew Ali said that divine and national, then divine means that even in your nationality, there's divinity. It's not just some paper thing. This is a spirit thing. This is a savior family thing. This is a make your children want to grow up and know who they really are so they can change their conditions. This is not about change a name on some Department of Motor Vehicles license. It's not about changing name on some passport. This is about awakening your higher mind and getting you to start thinking for yourself. Because for too long, we've been extremely laid back and not wanting to handle our affairs. And now stuff's going crazy. Youths are going crazy, doing all this crazy stuff to themselves. They don't even know what they're doing to themselves. Because of the madness that you had in your mindset before you conceived them. They're brought up with no codes, no morals. But like we said, the shift is happening because Moors are not just sitting stuck in the temple with this. Moors are taking this to the hedges and the highways. Moors aren't locking themselves up in some room with their birthright. Moors are going to the mall, their turbans on. Moors gonna pump gas with their turbans on. Moors gonna go to the Christmas concert for their child's school. Fez is up. Have all the Masons in there angry. Have people getting up and leaving because Moor has his Fez on. So know that this is bigger than just correct your name on some paper or some card that you have. This is really about divine. What documents? Oh yeah, so know that it's not about the documents. It's not about the cards. Business as usual once you find out about this. And then you start studying. You cannot apply what you don't know. If you don't know, you wouldn't try in anything else. This is the only thing where people don't know and then they're trying stuff. If you don't know, you shouldn't be trying stuff. Don't need to try stuff. Because you're only going to damage yourself. If you're presenting to them that you are who you are, prepare for whatever the response will be. I don't know what the response will be. Like I said, what my response was. Everybody's situation is different. But the objective is do for self. The objective is doing something that you are master of and getting paid for it because you love to do that. Whatever it is that you're a master, everybody's a master at something. And everybody is not a master of everything. So there's stuff out there to master. Master something. Teach your children. You might have to be the sacrifice right now and go get a job. You might have to be that one. If you're that one, then be that one. Take the sacrifice, go get a job or whatever, and put down so that the children could have the future that you didn't. Now that you have this wealth of knowledge and, you know, you're passing it on to them. So they would have the mindset of they own the business. They own the corporation. They're not going to get no job from somebody. They're going to have the business. And again, if you're talking about take some documents down to the job so they can change whatever. Yeah, it's something that Moors have done successfully. Take their papers, go to their proper department, sit down with them, have a talk with them, let them know exactly what this is, what's going on, what their intentions are, etc. And, you know, places have yielded to their position. So, you know, it depends on the energy of who's exercising. Does updating, changing, or correcting your name with the state agency remove you from its jurisdiction? Right? So you're trying to get out of the state jurisdiction, but you're going to the agency operating as the state jurisdiction to certify your papers that you corrected your name. Does that sound like you removed yourself from that jurisdiction? Just think about it. You, who's a free being, said, hey, I'm a free being. I don't have nothing to do with those corporations. But then you apply to the corporation. You sent your paper to the corporation for them to put their seal on your papers to recognize you as who you say you are. Is someone removed from that jurisdiction? If you're Aboriginal Indigenous, and then somebody says you're Indian, and then you also have a card from them saying that you're an Indian, are you Aboriginal Indigenous? Or are you Indian? Does the state agency operating as government have the power to recognize tribes? Yes. The state agency operating as government has the power to recognize tribes, because tribes fall under the Indians, which falls under the jurisdiction of the state agency operating as government. Hawaiians are indigenous as ever. If they can get down with a sovereign position, having their flag and have their language, have their culture, then nobody else has an excuse as far as Americas is concerned. Even the people on reserves, because they're ipso germ Moorish subjects too. And how come when the Moor said that he's a Moor, the Hawaiian people, you're not a Moor, you're a black guy, you can't say you're that. How come they didn't, you're Islamic, you can't be in here because this is a Hawaiian, this is not an Islamic thing. And talk like you crazy people, sending crazy questions, having more stressing out or whatever, because you don't want to accept the fact, but you keep asking questions, but you don't want to accept the fact. But you keep asking questions though. But you're not accepting anything. You're not going to no job to go change nothing. You're just asking just to hear more say, oh yeah, we did it. Here's the paper to show you that we did it. And then they changed it. And then now I don't get taxes. And then, and then you go do it. And then it doesn't go like that. And then you're calling to find out how come it didn't go like that. Because the spirit's messed up. You're not that individual. Oh, you thought that because you're a Moor and they're a Moor that what they done can you? Oh, well, you know what they had to do to get that stuff that they got? They had to do 30 days in the hole to be able to exercise their birthright. You want your birthright still? Right now, we put you in for 30 days. After you get out, these people wouldn't bother you ever again. Will you take the deal? 30 days in the hole. You don't have to send no paperwork. You don't have to do anything. Everybody, the whole world's going to recognize you as a Moor. But you have to do 30 days in the hole. And the roaches and the rats in there too. Will you do it? If you want your birthright, BNL. They'll even give you a complimentary fez or a turban. You don't even have to go buy one, but you have to do 30 days in the hole though to be a Moor and not get touched ever. Put plates on, do whatever it is that you want to do as a Moor. You take the deal, or would you push the red button and go home? Tell these people, FOH, they have no jurisdiction to tell me about pick something. Soldier knows his strength only when he has a foe. Only when he has a foe. And we know that this is not for everyone. Like we said, we already know 144,000 is an outstretch. Because Juali even said only a handful saved. Over a handful saved. Fingers left over. Can a state-recognized tribe claim sovereign power? Right, sovereign power. Let's see. Can a state-recognized tribe? Can a state-recognized tribe state-recognized tribe can a state-recognized tribe claim sovereign power? Sovereign. A person, body, or state in which independent and supreme authority is vested. A chief ruler with supreme power. A king or other ruler with limited power. So a state-recognized tribe obviously is not independent if it's state-recognized. If the state recognized it, they probably went to the state to get permission to be a tribe, which means they're not really a tribe. Because if they're a tribe, they would claim their right as a tribe to whatever it is that they're supposed to be doing according to their tribal customs and way of life. It's not about exercising because you heard something. You saw something on YouTube and you want to go try that, see what. That's not what's up right now. You better know what it is that you're doing. You better know what it is that you're talking about. Because once you fail to realize, once you fail to come to the realization of the facts opposed to the falsehood, things will work better. But there's lots of falsehood out here. There's lots of falsehood out here. Lots of falsehood. People claiming to be things that they're not. Straight violating people. violating people just because. Keep yourself in tune with what your prophet laid down. Keep yourself in tune with studious Moorish Americans. Not these online guys. Not these only Wikipedia reference people. People who actually have books. Because yeah, Wikipedia, that's on computer, that's some physical stuff too. You're not even going there. But it's different when you read it from a book. Right? Don't let the book become like the 8-track. When the books are done, it's pretty. People are in trouble. You're not gonna know where your info is coming from at that point. So we want to say Islam to all the Moors worldwide. Peace and love. You see how they do. Blocked us off and stuff. We couldn't even show you the stuff. But it's okay. We had audio. So, you know, ears up. Ears up. Ears up, Moors. Chapter 34, Sincerity. Thou who art enamored with the beauty of truth, and has fixed thy heart on the simplicity of her charms, hold fast thy fidelity unto her, and forsake her not. The constancy of thy virtue shall crown thee with honor. The tongue of the sincere is rooted in heart. Hypocrisy and deceit have no place in his words. He blusheth at falsehood and is founded, but in speaking the truth he hath a steady eye. He supporteth as a man the dignity of his character. To the arts of hypocrisy he scorneth to stoop. He is consistent with himself. He is never embarrassed. He hath courage enough for truth, but to lie he is afraid of it. He is far above the meanness of dissimulation. The words of his mouth are the thoughts of his heart. Yet with prudence and caution he openeth his lips. He studieth what is right and speaketh with discretion. He adviseth with friendship. He reproveth with freedom. And whatsoever he promiseth shall surely be performed. But the heart of the hypocrite is hid in his breast. He maketh his words in the semblance of truth, while the business of his life is only to deceive. He laugheth in the sorrow, he weepeth in joy, and the words of his mouth have no interpretation. He worketh in the dark as a mole, and fancieth he is safe, but he blundereth into light and is betrayed and exposed with dirt on his head. He passeth his days in perpetual constraint. His tongue and heart are forever at variance. He laboreth for the character of a righteous man, and huggeth himself in the thoughts of his cunning. O fool, fool, the pains which thou takest to hide are what thou art, are more than would make thee what thou wilt seem. And the children of wisdom mock at thy cunning, when in the midst of security the disguise is stripped off, and the finger of derision shall point thee to scorn. Chapter 34, Sincerity, Holy Quran of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science and the Moorish Science Temple of America. And that chapter you won't find in the Aquarian gospel for all you people. Islam to the Moors using their mind magic to create whatever image on this black hole that they have here. The sunken place feeling, giving you the sunken place feeling on Canaanland Moors. But we're not in the sunken place, we're actually above it, looking into the hole, into the darkness. See the white around, we're on the edge looking in. So we're where the light is. The light's where we're at. So you don't worry about the sinking hole when you come to your senses after you fell asleep watching this and it's a black screen. Islam to all the Moors. Oh, we haven't done this in a while. Let's close out with the prayer. This is holy day and all. Face the east. 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation. By night and by day, to his holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Ashe, Islam. Peace and love, Moors. We'll build on Sunday. Circle 7 is definitely Sufism. Islam to all the Moors. I forgot. I got caught up on the soapbox and I didn't set up the outro music. Got caught up. Islam, Moors. Peace and love.
It's a new year, man. Finally you coming home. Done waiting. See, life teaches you lessons through life experiences. Don't you never forget them. Knocked at my door and I couldn't tell who's who. Passports masked up, couldn't tell skin hue. I'm looking to redefine who's who. Some niggas enemies, even if they look just like you. Officers ask man who in house with you. My 9-month son and my brother here too. We say put something warm on, step outside, and as soon as it's clear, yes your bro will follow through. The doors open up and all they beams ain't ready. We rush through the door and my bro stands steady, and I can never forget that cold look on his face. We rushed through the rain and talk to make haste. Now I'm sitting in this van back, 6 cotton straps, sun in my hand, fucking lighters where my bro at, yo. 3 minutes later, his hands cupped behind his back. Right then I knew we thought he could never look back. Keep your eyes open. Yo, how your mans do them too? And it hard when it hits you. The battlefield, yes, it hard when it hits you. And now I'm thinking, I miss you. Take your number and I'm waiting to sit behind, think this reflection I'm facing. His mind contemplating who we mistakes him. Hope he left the straps in the whip, now we facing 16 charges, 4 for the guns, 2 for the attempt, grand theft and then some. Canteen empty, took the rap heavy. Now it's real, recognized fake on this medley. Wasn't really ready for them years in the pen. The Hearst on jail up north and the thing. Karma is real and he never knew it then. Bro, you gotta know your circle, not beg no friend. Fam too loyal, hit long neck periods. Got to rise the shit for point blank period. No real support when shit got serious. Now we standing up to court, bail denied period. Keep your eyes open. Trust me, this life Life is what you make it. Fam, hey, yes, freedom is a must, fam. Freedom, prospects. Trial set date, October 1/8, fam. Freedom is a must, but it's now at stake. Lawyer mapping out what choice to make. Bro say he wanna fight trial, one chance to take. Lawyer say if you please, serve a year to the day. Take the gun back, get early parole and escape. But bro steady mind wanna fight it. Lawyers say evidence look lopsided. Most like to lose, get 6 years time and wave ride it. Surprising how quick things flash before your eyes. And life seem only but the moment to breathe, inhale, exhale once and be alive. Bitch, he stood before the judge and pled guilty strong. More time, you got the man up and right your wrongs. New ways to touch road when you come back home. A love held on to face, so I write this song. Free, free, keep your eyes open. Fam, freedom is a must, fam. Fam, yes, freedom is a must, fam. Free. Pow. Did you know? Did you know? Did you know? So my priority is authority over minority. You couldn't be exploring me without permission. Distance, so my mission is to overthrow the ball you kicking on my side of the court. I've got meaning to life. You tried to understand me more than twice, and thrice you failed. To the point of no return, expel the wrongs. Your repentance does you no good but harm, for your intentions were prolonged madness. My people have suffered from the wrath of your trickery. Now somewhat a mystery, lost in a sandpit. And grave sites you languish in, revealing only what you already knew, exploiting, destroying the story. An abomination, your abolition is nothing to our proclamation. So I'm saying, I'm birthing nations for the saving of Africa. Did you know? Did you know? Did you know? Who are you? Think for a moment or two. Can you make the relation between me and you? Are you that descendants of the kings and queens who ruled through relationships of 1 through 2? Are you the essence, the energy that brought forth light? Yes, you are day and night. Did you know? Did you know? Did you know that you are the time that has no end? Do you not know that you are the creator of all humankind? Children, women, and men. Children of the sun, life giver to everything, and everything is in you. The earth, the air, the water, the fire. You are the earth's desire to bring forth greatness. This started with you, so let us travel so that you can know who you are. Who you are. Who you are, who you are. You are the ones who built civilized societies because you were in harmony with the sun, the moon, and the stars. You are the energy beings who obeyed universal laws. Yes, you created and ruled kingdoms and queendoms, not hoods and blocks. And because you had everything in abundance, you were the ones who were raped and robbed, whipped and chopped, shipped abroad, sold in shops, murdered like the animals we put in our pots. You were the ones who fought and fought and fought. I haven't forgot. So who made you to forget? Who made you to forget that you are the ones who set the foundation for the survival of creation? The ones who suffered acts of human degradation by a demonic nation and still facing war. Realize that you are the answer to your questions and more. You are the tree that grows and the bird that soars and the sun that glows and the being that transforms. You are the founders that explored. Yes, everything of and on this earth is yours. But now you falling victim to the oppressors. The oppressors who have possession of your bodies because of obsession with your bodies. So they molest your bodies and make it their hobby to captivate you mentally, physically, and spiritually, because you are the ones who can annihilate them genetically. You feeling me? Are you visualizing what I see when I speak to you? The reflection of me. You are the imagination of all possibilities, the overcomer of disabilities, enabling you to conquer all. You are the one who rises when you fall. Yes, you are the soul of the all within the all, yet you deny that you are the gods and goddesses that you are. Instead, lend yourselves to be slaves from near and far. You are the one left from the wounds of your ancestors, and while you look for help outside yourself, you continue to ignore the healer inside yourself, suppress the secret to find yourself being the same ones who minded yourselves. And now yourselves are out of your mind. You are the wisest of the wise, the revealer of the skies that ties the relation between you and I in the womb and I verse. See? We are the first, so let us live to be the last. We are the past that they label as trash, yet your DNA holds all the facts. You already knows who you are. You just need to manifest you within you, because you are the who that raises the question why and answers the what, where, when, and how. I say know who you are, my people. The time is now. Ashe. Roots K, hello. Mic flow, fly, fresh, and responsible. One love divine, and I bring salutations. Power, sin, yes, it's all in the nations. Numbers and so flow, we heard in the streets. The monster in me, it don't accept defeat. Launch them a classic motion. Picture this ride wave across the ocean. Explosion, riddle them soft emotions. Encounter the master's truth revealed. You could not divide our stances, signed and sealed. Roots K, and I resonate. Airwaves, so pay back for your memory. Ancient days, many ignore the answer. Stay a slave, I'm free, it's a melody. Bring more love in my tune, cut jealousy. Couldn't get ahead of me. Real line legacy, my flow see magic, but Mikey a wizard. We fly fresh and responsible. Man, I get it in unstoppable. Something like Usain Bolt, I'm ready on the start line. Moving past slow ones, I'm here like it's my time. Let's go. Fists in the air, yes, classy rebel. Bass clap, move crowds like you rock a fellow. Horror female, let's get into detail. Sound power, purpose, words not to fail, but to elevate. Raise chi, concentrate. It's real energy. Laid law, rise the stakes. Our boom speakers, ignite kundalini ethers. Move hips, twist spines. I'm your yoga teacher. Divine dance eyes walk over me and greet ya. I love doing me, sing prophecy. Band symphony, serenade the memory banks. Export the rhymes, live for the cause and grind. Yeah, work hard to be the boss, taking charge. Keep cool in the streets, real easy on that club hop shit. Roots heat mics, ride a new wave, bang, who could do it like this? I am who I say I am. Roots live from the dot, and I say I am the realest. Those connect to know and feel it. Roots flow in your face, no Victoria's Secret. Mirror, mirror, reflection is beauty. You ain't ready for a revolution, please excuse me. Know where you stand, cause my hand could get grand. Just as bang on the land fire. Herakuti, bring back the order. Ordained by the universe, many think the earth cursed. Karma releasing her pain like a hoarder. Never will you stop, I eliminate borders. Soul is immortal. Open my mic on your conscience, exemplify omniscience. Ready for the world, no nonsense. I know about growing up in projects, and life ain't a joke. We moving up, progress. Yes.
I'll be waiting till the sun goes down, till you come around, baby. I'll be waiting.
And I can say he want me rhyme harder, but I don't assassinate myself. I ain't a rhyme martyr. I rhyme smarter. That's suicide on the beat. Cause my affiliation, yo, is really from the streets, and you can take it as a diss, but I like things discreet. And this creep is very silent. And I've been here so long, you never noticed I arrived it. Am I here so long? I'm surprised I survived it. Like 20 years strong, till I don't feel alive yet. What? Don't get me wrong, I'm just tired of surviving. Real. Cause I've been and still going through the struggles. I'm just here trying to figure out this puzzle. And it's clear, every day they're trying to muzzle me. But luckily I see right through the full drudgery. And I ain't got solutions, I'm just tired of the career. And I know I'm God, but please don't put your trust in me.
I'll be waiting till the sky goes down, till you come around, baby. I'll be waiting.
Say what you see is what you get. I say we go in and create that reality. Yes. You better trust I am at this. I'm trying to see the world like I'm Atlas. I push and start, giving myself time to practice. Played on the bumpery, all seeing I am at this point where I feel like I know it. I'm in this moment like I own it. Stars in the sky have me zoning. In and out the time, playing catch up, controlling every next step of my journey. Had to go through a few fools trying to burn me. I'll get it in, lanes don't concern me. I choose not to give them all they judge me early. No recess, no adjournment. A first fleet powers that reside, I had to face it, name it, place it in the dream where I could chase it. It's all motivation to live that same dream I am chasing. And ain't no human on this earth who can take it. Till then,
I'll be waiting till the sky goes down, till you come around, baby. I'll be waiting till the sky goes down, till you come around.
Is it the presence of greatness? Is why you hate this? Be too gracious.
the cup overflows and the island never stateless. We make this.
We control the matrix, oracle, still a mere particle. Brennan is the article.
Beats to complete and love shows that our hearts are full.
So that means that we're honorable.
The worship cast might honorable.
Might model skulls.
Reverence to the remnants of ancestors present.
Moorish lessons can't stop the essence. We ain't impressed, you ain't made no impressions.
I guess you guessing we ain't ready for the back down. Picture in my hands, you ain't ready for the fire, you should back down. I'm taking the crown with due diligence, no proving my innocence. We done been there and done that ever since.
I'll be waiting till the sky goes down, till you come around, baby.
Moorish assassin, anonymous in the building. All Moroccans. What? Think I fell off or fell out, but when I yell out, I ain't afraid to tell the sellouts to get the hell out of the temple. To defile your temple, get the shell out. It's contaminated, get the smell out. You're overrated, and I know you hate it. What does Canaanland Moors do?
More rich works for national progress and Moors do. Not need no fighting on YouTube to get views. We elevating minds, revealing more jewels. So who got next on the Pro Tools? Yes, my bar's next rhyme is the Moors on the rise, so you get where I'm coming from.
Young Moors say they thirsty and hungry for knowledge. Most of us never been university or college. Study the universe that ancestors pay homage. And when I say that I'm on it, I'm on it. For better or worse, I make that promise. I carry out the works for my holy prophet. Stop it if you think you can. This topic is way over your head. And most talk shit cause they can't comprehend an optic illusion. It's what they see instead. Most talk shit cause they can't comprehend an optic illusion. It's what they see instead.
Read through, it's just info. No, we never been po. Paper to the people, nature hold the sequel. Until the mind reads the climb from divine. Stuck in time, missing signs, so the line is the people. And yes, I want you for your heads up. This your birthright, light torch, wake up. I'm on the raise up, playing got the stakes up. My fire till the Jake's cut, maybe I'll just take up.
They say in God we trust, but really and truly, our God is us. And you can't fool me, I know God is us. Oh, we unruly, from the womb corrupt. Take off the veil, the facade is up. Move like turtle and snails in a barrage of muck. Like Chester made stale in a mirage we stuck. Still I know we gon' real, cause a lie is what?
All praise do be to Allah. Shouted out records from scriptures on the wall. Before that, look to the stars, no holds barred. Timeless, limitless, and it goes far. Yo, it's coming like stories show fraud. Opposites on the planet, with humans that work hard planning to heaven.
It's all my excavation.
You took my birthright, poured quad. Yo, maybe for your bloodline, maybe for the oath that you took or the contract you signed. Constitutional fraud, boy, sign line to get sidelined. I come from seeds of divine lines.
Seeds of divine lines. Yeah, I know what it is already. You already know what it is. They can appreciate it. They can appreciate it. So we keep doing what we do, stop.
From the wall, from the wall.
Never to the tomb.